All right, our call is officially recording. We are live on Facebook, and we'll just give it just a couple more minutes. I think we have some more people joining in, but welcome everybody who's joined first time or you're returning. We're super excited to have you, and we have two awesome speakers today, both local entrepreneurs. They're going to be talking about their business ideas. So we'll get started here just in a minute. Feel free to use the chat function to say hi, or if you're new, just tell us where you're from or who you're with. We'd love to get to know you. Hi, Cecilia. Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to see you.
Thanks for
Hi,
joining.
Jim.
Okay, so we may have a few more people joining, but we'll just go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to the Community Entrepreneurship Hour. We meet every second Wednesday of the month, and we originally started this just as a conversation between the community and the entrepreneurs locally, and slowly we are emerging into kind of pilot testing and being inspired by a program called Cups that the Kaufman Foundation does. And we really want to provide this platform as an opportunity for entrepreneurs to pitch their ideas, practice, and just get feedback. So this is not really entrepreneurs speaking at you, but they really want your feedback and to engage and communicate with them. So with that, today we have two presentations. And before I go ahead and introduce our first speaker, I'd like to mention that at the end of the both the pitches, we do a gift card giveaway from a local coffee shop. So please hang on till the end. It'll be a fun quiz, and we want everybody to get a chance to win a coffee card. So with that, our first speaker of the day is Jake Cantrell. Jake has been in the oil field and software industry for a very long time. He graduated from OSU with a business degree, and with a family background in the oil field, he has been creating custom software solutions and websites for over 20 years. His new product line, Expedition Ninja, offers a quick and effective way to keep track of virtually any kind of record with ease. If it has an expiration date on it, Expedition Ninja got it. So with that, Jake, please feel free to share your screen, and the floor is yours.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining today. Let's see, share that one. Everybody should see that now. So yeah, no, I'm excited to be here today, and appreciate Dia asking me to come in and present. It's been a lot of fun getting to know Dia and Jim and work with them over the last month or so. On some other community initiatives, and excited to keep that stuff moving forward. So like Dia said, I've been doing web stuff for a really long time. Started out in 1995 when Ada first got their first internet service provider. Started building websites way back then, and sort of grew up doing that through high school and college. Maintained the school systems website when I was in high school for a while even. Got multiple companies that I work with. Cantrell Solutions is my primary company. That's where I've always done website work and custom work. And then about almost 7 years ago now, through the process of some of the custom software I had worked on in the past, took on a partner based out of Dallas, and we created Cantrell Jackson Software. And that has become my primary business today, is managing Cantrell Jackson Software, where we provide software for oil field companies, just daily ticketing and things like that. And so that's what takes up 99% of my time these days. But with COVID coming in, we've had a little bit of breathing room that we haven't had in the last several years of just blowing and going and growing. And so I've been able to take on a few smaller side projects, things that we want to watch out for that we can use in other areas as well. So one of those projects we're going to talk about today is Expiration Ninja. So with Expiration Ninja, the whole concept was something that's got a very simple to use interface, very low support overhead ongoing, meaning that our customers can more or less self-support using knowledge bases and some email support. Ability to serve multiple niche markets with one product. And so Expiration Ninja, instead of being specifically for the oil field, we've got laid out for different healthcare markets for this. And some trucking type markets. And so the general idea is to find a product platform that can work across multiple market niches. Largely reusable components to be used on future projects was important too. Expiration Ninja at the core is a proof of concept project. Hope that it takes off just like everything else we do for sure. But at the same time, it's kind of proving a point on a certain type of project and building it in such a way that we can build other projects directly on top of this to create future projects. So renewals and expirations are kind of one of those things that people throw in a spreadsheet, forget about it. They go in and update it every once in a while. Sometimes a primary software package in their business maintains some of this stuff, but people just don't keep it up and give it the attention that it's due. And so we really wanted to come in and find a way to make that much more simplified, put it all in one place so it's available anywhere you are, make it so you can quickly find what you need to, all of that. And so basically we just took a really boring business function that has to happen. It's extremely important to track these items, but it's not something anybody's doing a great job at for the most part. So what we've done is move it out to the cloud instead of on a spreadsheet, makes it where it's easily accessible, get automated reminders sent out, allow employees to quickly and view manage their own items. And so, if you've got a healthcare person with some certifications, they have the ability to log into the software themselves and view their items, update as they need to, and then give quick and simple reporting out for the business that's using the software. With that, we'll just take a quick look at the software real quick. So when you first log into the software, you're presented with a dashboard. On the dashboard, it lets you know how many items you've got that have already been expired, upcoming in 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. So we can just do a quick view on the 30 days, and that gives us a real quick list of all of the items that are coming up ready to expire. So we know that, hey, we need to get on and get this CPR certification taken care of. We can quickly export that to an Excel spreadsheet because some people are still more comfortable sharing around an Excel spreadsheet saying, hey, here's all the upcoming stuff we've got to deal with. So again, all that information right there at your fingertips. Go view more on any of them and see all the information about the data set item and the action item, CPR. If there were files uploaded with that, those would be available there too. Within your data sets, so we're going to look at the people data set. And so you can see that we've got a couple of people added here. When we go in and edit on one of those, you've got base detail information, upload files for the person. So this can actually be kind of a very small HR type platform where you can store employee files as needed for somebody that doesn't need a larger HR platform, upload pictures and images, files, anything. So you've got the general person information, you've got the action items. And so this is where we're going to track all of our certifications, drug testing compliance is another thing we've talked to people about in here. And so each of those action items can also hold files as well. And so with your CPR certification, maybe you've got a PDF file that clarifies some of that and gives some more detail. You can upload that PDF document along with that certification, so it's always there. And then one of our pilot customers that we're talking to also said, hey, it's very important for us to have notes on all of the data set items as well. And so these are just some stuff we threw in here, general personal notes about me, and then medical notes, different categories, things like that. So really at the core of it, it's just tracking data in a much more simplified fashion than what an Excel spreadsheet is going to give you access to do. The real power in Expiration Ninja comes with the flexibility. within the software itself. And so most softwares like this would say, okay, here's how you track people, here's how you track vehicles, give you your specific items you can track within. We really wanted to put a priority on the flexibility of the system because, like I said, it's meant to work with multiple niches at once. And so within our data set utility, this is where you actually create the data sets that you want to track. And so when you go to create a new data set, it asks you what sort of data would you like to track? People, assets, vehicles. This can be anything you want. You could type airplanes here and track airplane data just the same. You're not limited by what we think you should track at all. So once you go into, and we'll just look at the people data set, you can pick and choose what fields you want to track for each item. You can add specific action items for that data set. So you're not going to have a CPR certification for a vehicle. And so your CPR certification is specific to your people data set. Different categories so you can track by different locations or any other way you need to group the data, and then the notes categories for that data set as well. And so again, the flexibility is the key component there. Aside from all of that, of course, you can add multiple users and then some basic reporting involved right here. So we can go pick our people data set and pull everything in the next 90 days for the people data set or the vehicles the same way and get that. And again, that's pretty much it. It is meant to be an extremely simplified platform. Pricing on it is still being determined, but we're looking anywhere from $5 to $25 a month. So it's an extremely low cost offering as well. Because again, it's meant to be a very simplified, easy to use self-service platform there. Let's see what else we need to talk about here. Dia gave me a nice handy outline that actually helped make my presentation a lot easier. So as far as general business information stuff, it's a software as a service platform. The whole concept of a software as a service platform is monthly recurring revenue so that we can create economies of scale. We develop it once, we host it in a single place. Our hosting fees do go up as we retain more customers, but not a significant amount. And so the more customers we can bring on, the more profitability we have without significantly increasing our costs. And that's the benefit of the SaaS model. Everything's hosted on the Amazon platform. React, MongoDB, AWS EC2 for anybody that cares about the more nerdy stuff there. This venture is fully self-funded, bootstrapped. That's the way I like to do all of my projects is take them on myself internally first, and then once there is some profitability, then we can look at different ways to scale. It's the same way we started the software company with Cantrell Jackson. All three of those platforms started out within Cantrell Solutions at one point, and then as they reached a certain level, pushed into Cantrell Jackson for various reasons. And so again, all self-funded. General marketing stuff, we're going to use social media advertising and word of mouth. We've actually seen a lot of success in just getting eyes on things using social media advertising, and so that's the goal for this, is to hopefully convert some of those into sales for this. Besides myself, we have Lindsay Bonner, who is working as an intern. She is actually going through the Startup Ada Bootcamp right now and using this project to do that, and she'll also be pitching this project at the Pitch Ada event coming up. So super excited to watch her do that. And then we've got Joe and Francis that are handling the development on this project as well. Future goals for this: launch it. Like I said, it's a proof of concept for future project within Cantrell Jackson and Cantrell Solutions both. We've already started talking about some concepts within Cantrell Jackson where we can do some very similar things and have a larger team behind some of it. We'd like to take this and create niche specific versions. And so instead of just Expiration Ninja, we'd like to come up with a healthcare specific branding and do something similar specific to healthcare and some other specific niches. And that's pretty much all that we've got here. But what questions does that open up to?
I'm so impressed. I can see so many different applications for this platform. Does it also send you notifications when expirations are coming due? Maybe you mentioned that earlier.
Yes. Yes, it does. It will send email notifications and text message notifications if those are turned on and enabled when it's ready.
And I apologize, I came in late, but Jake, is this something that you have other individuals using right now, or are you just still in the planning and the, tweaking it?
So this is very much in the development and tweaking stage. We do have a pilot customer on board right now, longtime customer in another area that randomly a month or two ago called and said, "Hey, can you do this?" And so I said, it's really funny. I'm working on a project that does that right now. And so they were jumping to get on, and so they are using it on a pilot basis. But we're still very much in the development stage of this project.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Jake, I've got a question. So you were talking about, being able to, easily spin this off out of, identifying a new need and bootstrapping it and then scaling it up as needed. How do you envision this product, being, scaled in the future? Do you anticipate it, growing to a certain rate, or are you just kind of trying to see where the customer interest is, or what's that process like for you?
The goal is exactly what you said there at the end, finding what the customer interest is. And so, in the very beginning, we'll do everything as Exploration Ninja. And then the hope is that through some different targeted marketing, things like that, that some niche fittings will start to emerge. And then we can analyze how the people in that niche use the software and use that to sort of create the niche specific versions of this platform. Talk to those customers, find out exactly what data sets they're using, what information they're storing in those data sets, things like that, so that when we do roll out a niche specific version, we will be able to preset some of the data sets, because again, let's take home health, for example, which is one of our early front runners for a good target. They're all going to have very similar data sets to track and very similar certifications to track, things like that. So we can create some sort of pre-built packaging that allows them a quicker, more easy setup. And so exactly, it's going to be sort of customer driven, what direction we take this platform next. And then throughout the rest of it, it is looking for other similar business processes that we can easily replicate within our platform and spin those off as new, fresh platforms as well.
So I love this concept. The idea of not having to keep track of all of this is great. I was wondering if you thought about contacting government entities, state and local, to see who gets licenses and certifications that that they have to keep track of. I mean,
absolutely.
I
and
think
so
that
we've
go ahead.
No, so we've reached out to the city of Ada and had a great response from Ms. Lewis and Cody's office that kind of listed out sort of the certifications for the cities and things like that, because ultimately cities are a fantastic market for this and so many other small projects. I would actually love to find a good fit for cities within a project. And so absolutely that it could work at any of those levels. Yes, but so very much so.
Jake, what's the considerations been on whether this is mobile friendly versus you convert it to an app that can be downloaded? Just thoughts on how this thing might travel.
So we did not put a whole lot of focus in mobile on this one specifically, just because it's not really an on-the-go process that you're working with. It is something that's more, you're going to touch this once a month kind of thing, or maybe once a week, but it's certainly not something that needs on-the-go immediate access. We will most likely circle back and spend more time on making the main website mobile friendly. Future projects where that's required will be built for mobile first and then graduated to the web from there. using a progressive web app system. And so the back end system of this lends itself very well to becoming a progressive web app. And so if it ever becomes a larger concern, we can always rebuild parts for that. We will not do a separate app for sure, though. It'll be all contained within the web system.
Makes sense. And I was thinking as you were talking about the different fields where this might be useful, it sounds a little bit like, for example, when you set up QuickBooks for the first time, it asks you what industry, and then it has some default charts of accounts. So I don't know if you've thought about creating it in that way. You know, if you choose healthcare, it has some default data set types, and or if you choose oil and gas, it has some default.
That's a really good idea to do it that way as well. You know, that's essentially what we're saying when we're creating niche specific projects.
Right.
And so to do that within one project could work as well. It's a good thought.
Just a thought. Very cool.
Jake, I remember when we were talking this through, you had some questions about getting some more feedback on the pricing. Is that something you're still looking for? So I'm sure this group would be happy to provide some feedback.
Sure. If anybody has feedback on or ideas on pricing the project, that would be super helpful. You know, pricing is always something where you've got to get a handful of customers in at whatever price you can get customers in at first, and then start really learning about what the market will support price-wise. But as far as starting points, I am absolutely open to anybody's thoughts on pricing.
Well, Jake, can you tell us again what the pricing was? You went over that briefly, but how that works.
Right now, it is super up in the air. I have to go look, but so I want to keep it super low end, and so even down to $5 a month. We've even talked about a free starting account for something simple, but the different pricing schedules will be based on data sets and data set items and action items within those data sets. And so if you only need to track a staff of 10 people and you don't need to track any vehicles or anything else, you can do that with a single data set. And so the starter package for just what we've got listed here, and again, this is all just stuck up and put in place as placeholders as much as anything else. So for $15 a month, you get one data set with up to 100 data set items, so up to 100 people tracked with 5 different action items to track. And then each time you go up in pricing, you're going to get more data sets, more data set items, more action items in there, all the way up to a potential unlimited plan.
And Jake, I want to jump in on this just to give you some feedback as someone that has to maintain a lot of different digital subscriptions and accounts and things for a small organization. One of the things that kills me is like when it's like price per user and I want a price per organization. And I really appreciate that you have that up there. And I'd also say that we're probably, you know, within a certain range, we're probably less sensitive to price and more sensitive to convenience and, you know, usability. So being able to move back and forth between plans online, you know, it's just removing some friction points is the biggest thing that I look for, and like whether or not I'm going to go with, if I'm comparing services or looking at something. So I'd say keep focusing on that, but I really appreciate that you're not like, you know, and I guess this wouldn't make sense to do per user, but it just kills me when I'm like, no, I need this for an organization, not like one user, you know, so.
No, absolutely that. And we get the same thing with our oil field software too, where we do everything priced on a usable component, not per user, because it's brutal. I want as many people as possible to be using any software that I build. We want as many users as possible from an organization on there, because that gives that application sticking power. You know, I don't want somebody new to come in and say, oh, well, I don't want to give them a user account on this software because I don't want to pay for that. I want that new person to get in and get just as deep into it as everybody else, so that when that new person leaves and goes somewhere else, they take it with them. You know, the more people that within an organization that use a system, the better for me.
So while I'm not a huge fan of giving away your purpose for nothing, I would imagine that other startup organizations, when they don't have an HR department or somebody who's responsible for this, is able to utilize your software in a way that maximizes their productivity. When you mentioned like a free thing, I like the Evernote model. Evernote, if you're familiar with them, they're the company that says the more you use it, the more you upgrade, right? Because you see the application, you see what you can take advantage of, and then you say, wow, I can actually put all the rest of my stuff on Evernote, and I will just pay for that increased knowledge or increased usage because of that. So I would probably say that's not a horrible model in looking at companies that are small to mid-size, to be able to say, hey, try us out. We'll give you one data set, let's say 20 data set items, and that'll get you going, right? So then you build a relationship, and as they grow and tell other people about your business, then hopefully that will go. I would probably say have them work for you and do some referral so that they can get a month free if they, share it with others and they sign up, that kind of thing. So have your customers work for you and advocate for you.
That's a tremendous idea on the referrals for sure, very much. And yes, that's exactly the idea of the free part, is get them in, get them hooked, get them using it, let them expand as they need to. Very, very much so. Thank you.
All right, I think we have a few more minutes. Do we have any more questions for Jake? Hey, if not, Jake, we'll end with the question, how can this community and supportive network of people, how can we help you as you grow and expand your business?
So really probably the best thing right now is, if I ever call asking you what spreadsheets you use in your business, just answer me. There's not, I don't have just a lot of community needs at the moment with it, but certainly as we start looking to expand into other projects and things like that, I've already reached out to a handful of people, and we'll be reaching out to a handful more just to find out what sort of things people are tracking in spreadsheets that could be turned into something that fits a larger model like what we're looking at here.
Jake, it probably wouldn't hurt for you to tell them to tune into the virtual big pitch and vote for your product either.
Hey, that would actually be a great one. Everybody needs to watch that and help Lindsay out and let her pitch win there. I'm pretty excited about it. That's going to be a neat process.
Awesome. Thank you, Jake. Thank you so much for your time, and we are super, super excited. Can we have a round of applause for Jake, please? Thank you. All right. So talking about the big pitch and the Startup Ada Bootcamp, our second speaker today is Pat Fountain, who is a graduate of the 2019 and first ever Startup Ada Bootcamp. And he was also placed in the idea stage category of the big pitch last year. And his company is called Soap and Stuff. Soap and Stuff is a soap-based fundraising solution service for high schools. Yeah. So with that, Pat, I think you should have sharing capabilities, and the floor is yours.
Okay, let me see if I can do that here. Oh, is that am I there? I don't think so. Hold on.
Yep. We see
How about there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to visit with everyone today, and I appreciate Dia's hard work here and doing a great job, Dia, in terms of and Jim and the whole crew there. getting some entrepreneur stuff going in Ada and some opportunities for, people to put out an idea in a number of different ways. So I think that's a wonderful deal here. Soap and stuff in terms of, I guess, call it a pitch a little bit, but I like to think of it as a unique, customizable, exciting answer for schools looking to raise funds. I think as a business, it's a great combination. I really think we've done a good job of identifying a target market. It is a customizable product, and I think a very scalable business. I've identified schools, large schools, I think are the perfect target market. They offer a blend of desirable characteristics that a lot of organizations just don't offer. And I think in terms of customizable, not just the product, but the customer support. And gosh, the soap, different shapes, different scents, different sizes, different colors. It's very, very customizable. I think a lot of fundraising is personal care products, and guys don't want to sell perfume and things like that. So, but I think it's a product everyone can really use. So let's take a look here a little bit more. As you can see here, I'd like to think that a group can raise $5,000 in 5 days. Now, for some groups, that would be a lot. For some groups, maybe just a little drop in the bucket. But as you look at fundraisers, I laugh. My son, he's 20 now. We have sold mattresses, sausage, beef jerky, chili feed tickets, spaghetti tickets, raffle tickets. You guys out there with children in school, you know what it's like. And so I think, and then you've got to look at the other side of this too. I've been involved in that side a little bit as well. You've got to look at the customer, you got to look at the sellers, and then more than anything, there's the one that puts the program on, I think. So I think in the fundraising world, particularly for schools, I think for me, I think there's too many fundraisers. The research shows that, I think, that I've done. It's just too much effort for too little return on investment. So I think as I looked at this, that was a problem. And then I really felt like the need was, for something less complex, something that would give folks more reward for their efforts and just lead to greater customer satisfaction. Yikes. I think the big question then is how do we reduce the cost? And I think the answer to reducing the cost, and I want to talk a little bit about cost here in a second too, it's not just the price, but it's everything all together. So I think to reduce the cost, which to me, it's just reduce the complexity of this thing. And when you look at a fundraiser and how they normally work, I just wanted to look at this from the standpoint of, what can we do to reduce the complexity? I think as we look towards a business model and, kind of with that same idea, I like to think of it as us versus the big boys in terms of there's some fundraising companies out there that are, they're worldwide, they're nationwide, they're huge. And so I had to think a little bit like a small town retailer going up against Walmart. And the bottom line is I looked at this is what could we do that they can't do that people will value? And I really felt like, the bottom line, how can we reduce the complexity? So of course, as a marketing professor, I, give everybody a little marketing lesson here. Dia's laughing, so is Jim. But anyway, I hope this is something, you may be familiar with this, but I like to think in the world today where it's time to get rid of the 4 Ps. So I want to look at the 4 Cs in terms of, it's not a product, but it's how we deliver customer satisfaction. And so you look at all these headaches and problems and things and how do we get rid of those? Cost is, all the time, all the effort. It's not just buying soap for $2.50 or $5 and we're going to resell it. But look at all the things that are involved here. And that's the cost, the time, the effort, the headaches, all the things you have to do a successful fundraiser, working with a lot of the fundraising companies. Convenience, we'll talk about that a little bit. But it's not where do I get my soap? It's what's the most convenient way for this fundraising product to go from my place through the hands of the school to the final customer. And then communication. A lot of things can be changed there with a small company. So much of it's one-on-one. You know, I wouldn't look to advertise in a national publication. You know, might go to a trade fair or two just to talk to folks there. But I think there's so many things that can be done looking at the 4 C's here to really get rid of some of the headaches and to really make this a product. You know, from the soap standpoint, you can see here some of the different shapes. We can make a football in orange. We can make one in brown. We can make it smell like leather. If you want a motorcycle that smells like oil, if you want dominoes that smell like tobacco, you know, we put a little spider in a bar of clear soap. Here's a sheriff's badge, so if the kid takes a bath, he can be the sheriff, I guess, enough times. Look at the mermaid, a little Halloween stuff, a little Christmas stuff, smiley faces. So, you know, we could make a baseball in colors for different schools. A lot of licensing restrictions, of course. If I wanted to put Oklahoma Sooners on a bar of soap, you know, they'd be after me pretty quick. So a lot of licensing restrictions here. In terms of reducing the cost, you know, in the fundraising world, if you sell a candy bar for $1 and you get to keep 50 cents, you know, few fundraisers you get half the money. A lot of them are a lot less. I think the biggest thing we're trying to do here, a traditional fundraiser is, you know, you send the kids out with order forms and they take orders and they collect the money. They bring it back and then someone has to put it all together. And if you've ever been the one to do this, so you've got to hope the kid got the right amount of money. You have to hope they put the address down correctly, the phone number, what the people really wanted. You hope they bring in the right amount of money. So then you order the product, you wait on the product to come in, eventually it comes in. By then, you know, how do you find the people that bought the product? How do you deliver the product? You know, some kids have moved away, some customers have moved away. I know when, you know, a student knocks on the front door and, you know, they're selling cookies or they're selling something and so I'm going to give them my money. I've got to look over and hope they filled out the form correctly. I don't really know what I'm buying. I'm just supporting the kids. And I hope they come back and bring me something eventually. I think the better way to do this would be just to be able to show the product. The people pick out what they want. You hand them the product. You take their money. And then you go back to school and turn in the money. So to me, I think that would reduce so many of the headaches and so many of the problems with school fundraisers. And basically, it would reduce the cost is what we're trying to do here. So nothing to me could be simpler. Now, what my hope would be to meet with schools, let's say in either the spring or in the fall. If I had a school that wanted to do this and order 2,000 products that they would then sell in the spring, then I've got all that time to be producing the product. I take the product to them, help them with a big kickoff. And you know, their sale is underway. Leftover products, I can take them back. I can either sell them somewhere else. I can remelt them. I can give them away as samples. So there's so many things. There's really no wasted products here. I think target partners, and I want to talk about this a little bit. I want to look at big schools. And 500 plus enrollment, I think would give me 200 good participants. So not after, you know, Little League baseball teams, Cub Scout groups or Boy Scouts, but I really think schools offer some unique characteristics. In Oklahoma, there's 95 schools that have 500 plus students, and you can see Arkansas, you can see Kansas. So within these 4 states, you know, it's 894 schools. And there's some big schools in Texas, folks. I think our competitive advantage would be, well, let me look at this slide first, but I think here's why I would target schools. A large number of sellers. I really think that a school would have a designated employee that's responsible. The contract would be with the school. You know, that employee is going to be there. They're going to be held accountable. So I don't think I would have to worry about that. I think as far as organizational characteristics, you know, if you put the class against the class, the males against the females, so there's tons of contests, but also it's organized in a way that it's already broken down. You know, if you want to look at a whole classroom, there's 30 students there, there's a teacher there to be kind of watching over this. Communication systems to reach the parents and the students. I mean, you look at all the ways that this can be done, that schools are doing this now. What is needed for a fundraiser? I think as you look at schools, I think you've got copiers, you've got the storage, I think the labor is there in terms of the students, the record keeping, I think the security's there. I think that a lot of things to be successful are there that a lot of organizations just don't have. And then I think schools are raising money for a reason, so I think they would be motivated. I think, you know, looking at maybe a competitive advantage, I think as we look at this, we're not selling soap. You know, it's a fundraising solution. And I think if we carefully select our partners, then they can be successful. And I think I can be successful. As I said, communication, you know, I don't think we really need to advertise. And I'll show you a couple of things here. To get 20 schools a year would be great. And I think I can do that with personal selling and word of mouth. Reduce the headaches, the time, the effort in terms of cost. I think in terms of convenience for everybody, just no order forms, no deliveries later. So that's kind of what I want to try to do there. I think of some milestones, you know, what I'd really like to do, and I've talked about it, but to see if I have a minimally viable product, I'd like to try to do a little Kickstarter campaign, be able to put that out there, just see what people were interested in ordering. I think, you know, I could do that, but I'd like to say between December and March. I think in February or so, I'd like to go find me a school partner, help them figure out. And it's not like we need 100 different kinds of things, but maybe 5 or 10, maybe have a standard pack of Christmas soaps or sports soaps or something like that. They give me March to make the product, then in April do the fundraiser. And then I think the next school year, this is where I've got to look, maybe you guys can offer me some suggestions here. But, you know, and I probably would want to do both, but what we want to do, and I guess for most schools, I guess the fundraising occurs in the fall. So we probably want to work in the spring to line up some school partners, maybe do the manufacturing then and in the early fall and over the summer, and then come back the next semester with the products and help them launch a successful campaign. You know, I think there's so many different things that I've looked at, but really not looked at. And at this point, we've been toying with this idea for 5 years or so. And, you know, I'm really anxious to try to do something with it. I guess this life kind of gets in the way sometimes, but I really think that, you know, in terms of revenue, I think with just 20 schools, I think I could clear between 55 and 60,000 a year. So I'm not interested in, you know, going down here. I call this my 8-year plan. By then, I'd hope someone else is doing this. But, you know, again, you don't want to look at it from the fact that, gosh, look at all those schools out there. Surely 250 of them would do this. But I think for me, I think, you know, I want to have a good reputation. I want people calling me saying, hey, I talked to my friend so-and-so over at this other school. You know, they said you've got a good program, and we want to give it a shot. I don't think I want to try to help a school raise $20,000 right now. I'd rather just stick with 5. And I think they could do that in 5 days. You know, if the product came in on a Thursday, get it to them Thursday. They've got Friday. They've got the weekend. I won't count those days. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You throw in a ball game or two. You throw in a local event or something, doing it around that time. So I'd like to think that the students, you know, for the school to get $5,000, about 2,000 units of sales at $5 each. Now, is that too much for a bar of soap? Yes, but you're supporting the school. You're getting something unique. When the kid knocks on your door, I hope people could pull $5 out of their pocket. With 500 students, you know, that's about 20 sales a person, about $100 worth. And I think that's a price where a lot of parents would just say, here's $100. You know, give me the bars of soap, and I'll give them away or figure out what to do with them. So I think that's.
Pat, I'll just jump in and say that maybe let's move on to question answer, so we have enough time for everybody to just provide.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
So yes, please, questions, feedback for Pat.
So,
Hey, Pat.
go ahead.
Sorry. Have you do you know Gerald McAllister, and have you ever talked with Gerald McAllister about some of his experiences?
Yes, I have. And Gerald actually agreed to be on my kind of advisory board. And so I've talked to him several times, and he says that, Pat, you know, you won't know if it'll work till you try it. And he says, I can't really see a reason why it wouldn't work. It's a very competitive business.
Absolutely, but yeah, he'll be a great resource for sure. That was my only question.
Yes, I think so too. You're exactly right.
So I think you're definitely coming at this with a really big heart, and I appreciate the time and the energy that you've spent. So you've been tossing this around for a couple of years. I cannot recommend enough to maybe look at lean startup methodology. The amount of outlay that it'll take to create this, to have product before you know you have customers, is as a former bootstrapping entrepreneur and somebody who talks to entrepreneurs across the country, it's challenging, and I don't want you to have to put out more energy and effort and money out of your pocket before you know you have customers. I would say use that lean startup methodology and start asking the people at the schools or the people who would be selling your product, what is it that you want to see?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And, you know, my thinking is if I can take a few samples into a school, you know, they can see colors, they can see the sense in here, they can hold it in their hand and things. And then what I'd like to do is be able to work with them. You know, what products do you want? And in that way, just flat say, okay, what you want a football? What color do you want the football? What do you want it to smell like? And then I really think I'm in a great position, just like you said, to be able to take the orders and then make the product. I would have about a little over $1.50 in each of these bars of soap. They, I think, would, you know, they store well. And I think one of the neat things about Ada is the labor market that East Central offers in terms of some part-time workers to be. And the soap is, you know, you buy a block of 25 pounds of either clear or white. You add the colors and you pour it into molds, and then you take it out of the mold. And in some cases, like the football here, you got to put a little paint on it. For the dominoes as well, you know, if it's white, you got to get the black dot in there. So I think it's something that, you know, it can be done. And I think the labor pool is there. And I think you're exactly right. And so for me, it really is. It would be take the order, then be able to produce the product. But some great ideas there, and I appreciate that. And I think kind of confirmed my thinking a little bit.
How do you envision packaging? I know that makes a big difference in how the product is presented to the potential end users, and what kinds of, have you looked at, you talked about paints and dyes, what about skin allergies, that kind of thing?
It's really kind of neat because the supplier has furnished me, you know, has all has done all the testing, the certifications. Oh gosh, Stacy, what is the form that you have to fill out and everything to show that it's been tested? So they've done all that. So the dyes, the scents, you know, everything has been approved. So as long as I don't go off the wall and try to put my own ingredients in there or something, I'm fine.
Pat, just a question. I know you pitched this or were working on it last year, and obviously things have changed a lot for commerce and things have changed a lot for schools. Have you considered maybe building an e-commerce platform or a website for schools to be able to easily say, yeah, we're interested, let's order a sample or let's order this and get going. Because I think that could be maybe a really effective way to sell to schools right now.
You're exactly right, Jim. And in so many ways, I kick myself for not have done something with this. In other ways, I say, man, I'm so glad I didn't get this going now, because, you know, a school to do imagine last spring, if I'd had a school set up to do a fundraiser in April or May, they weren't there. So, but you're you know, you're right. And I think that gets back to a little bit of how big do I want to be? You know, like I say, for 20 schools, I'd love to take 2 or 3 years even and build it up to that. I'm retired, and you know, I'm getting lazier every day. My wife's over there nodding her head, and so I think, you know, for me, I'd love to be able to, you know, find a partner or something that could kind of keep me going and keep me motivated, and mess with the parts of this I wanted to. As I've shown this to a few folks, particularly some that are on my advisory board, you know, a couple of them I think are if I can show them, I think they move data, and you know, we could do something with this. And I think you're exactly right, though. I really need a website. I need something so people could see this. And I think for me to keep the costs down, I'm looking at, you know, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, uh, and a 5-hour drive. You know, I could go there, I could meet with them, you know, I'd get a trailer or whatever I needed to deliver the product in 5 hours. So a lot of this I could do myself. So I could take the product there or send someone there to do the big kickoff and get the product passed out and things. You know, but I think a website would allow people to see the product and see the possibilities. You're exactly right there. Maybe I can talk to Jake a little bit.
And Pat, I know that there have been some sites that I've been curious about before that if it was a new product to me, you could request send a sample, you know, just
Right.
so that there was some small piece of what you're talking about, the product size, the product quality, maybe for a minimal fee or for just the cost of shipping. And so might be something to consider to get people on board if they could actually see the product.
Amy, that's a great idea. And, you know, I think, gosh, that could be another use for products that aren't sold or that are left over. You know, they can sure make good samples. And like you said, to pay the shipping to get that. No, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Pat, I was curious to see that on the funding page you had about Kickstarter and crowdfunding, and I think, you know, businesses like this, which are very community oriented, are a good option for something like crowdsourcing. Do you have any ideas on how you want to go about that, or maybe that is something we can get a little more feedback on?
As far as the Kickstarter part, or
Yeah.
just the crowdsource? Yeah, you know, I think it would be a good chance. You know, what would be popular with folks, and I think even then, you know, whether you do again with Kickstarter, gosh, you've got such a neat chance to put together different packages and for different amounts of money. And but I really, you know, I need to probably get with someone that's done Kickstarter before and really take a good look at it. There are some soap products there on Kickstarter, but a lot of it's the homemade oatmeal, super, you know, facial for sensitive skinned folks and that kind of thing. But I think that's why one of my, you know, I just can't, you know, I wish I could sell footballs with Oklahoma State on them, with Ohio State on them, with University of Texas on them. Another thing I've thought about with Kickstarter, I don't know, you know, I could do little animals or so many different things I guess I could do. I don't know if that, you know, really answers your question, but I think it just comes back to putting a plan together and then probably, you know, putting a few of these in other people's hands and just saying, if I put this on Kickstarter, you know, where should I start?
Yeah, Pat, yeah, I think, you know, right now I feel like some marketing help with whether that's customer discovery, going and talking to schools, whether it's putting up, even if it's a simple website or making a kind of like a brand story around a Kickstarter. It seems like, you know, if we can get like a marketing intern or somebody who's in college who's kind of has this experience, that might be a good next step.
It's been kind of interesting. each time I've presented this, someone has come up and said, hey, we want to try it. You know, I'll call you later, but they don't. So I don't know what that means, but it has been interesting.
But okay, so we have any other questions for Pat? I think that was great feedback we got here.
I have a comment for Pat right quick. If you can hear me, this is Brian.
Yes, Brian.
Pat, you know, since you're focusing on schools, I just want to suggest, as a, for instance, for Ada, maybe a cougar or the block A. You know, if you're Essential, the tiger or the ECU logo, like you mentioned, it's an overpriced bar of soap, but you're selling nostalgia, maybe to tug at the heartstrings of grandmas and grandpas who want to pay for this. So keep that in mind instead of I don't want to call it a gimmicky mermaid on a bar of soap, but focus on, you know, if it was the mermaids, that would be the perfect application for a school mascot. So just as a food for thought for me.
Yeah, appreciate that. And, you know, one of the neat things is these are all from molds that I purchased, but I'm convinced, and from talking to the folks down at the Fab Lab, that they could teach me to make me a mold for anything. You know, if I had a picture of it, you know, I could do that. So certainly the big block A, an East Central Tiger, you know, nothing is you know, out of the realm of possibilities.
Well, and with 3D printers nowadays, you could probably use a 3D printer to print about anything you needed.
That's it, exactly.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage you to connect with Pat. His email, I can send in a follow-up email as well as on Slack. And thank you so much, Pat, for your presentation. Can we have a round of applause for Pat, please? Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your suggestions and input.
All right. Okay, so with 5 minutes left, I want to jump right into our quiz time. Pat, by any chance, are you able to stop sharing your screen?
Well, sure. Let's see here.
So how the quiz works is that I put in a question in the chat, and the first person to respond via the chat, not shout out, via the chat, gets to win a coffee card.
I'm still trying. Oh no.
Okay, there, perfect. Thank you. All right. So the first question is, so according to Jake, what software is currently a competitor for Expedition Ninja? Oh, we got the Excel expert. Good job, Dr. Bowen. Right answer. So yes, Jake mentioned that spreadsheets and Excel are currently the first competitor that they're really looking at. Okay, the second question, and we just had this presentation, so it should be fresh on your mind. All right, so what is Soap and Stuff's value proposition? The hint is dash in. You have to get both of them. Trevor, you're almost there. Oh, Jessica, 5,000 in 5 days. Trevor, I'm sorry, every time you get like half of the answer. But please keep coming back and we will have more of these. Okay, one more bonus question, but no gift card for this, just a lot of praise. What date is the 2020 Big Pitch ADA taking place on? Anyone? Dr. Bowling, correct. So this year, like I mentioned in the beginning, we are bringing back the Big Pitch ADA. It's a business pitch competition. Think like Shark Tank, but for our local community. And we don't have, we have less meaner judges and we have a little less prize money, but it's a great platform for entrepreneurs to get their ideas in front of the community. And we always have a very expert panel of judges to provide feedback, and you can win some cash prizes, which are usually sponsored by our local organizations. So it's taking place this year virtually on Thursday, November 12th. Applications are now open. I will put a link in the chat, and please RSVP to attend. Just like today's session, it's so valuable for entrepreneurs to hear feedback from you and know that there's a supportive community. So really, really encourage everyone to attend. I'm putting the links in the chat, and I will also put it in a follow-up email. But if you know of anybody who has an idea in the early stage or just started off, please encourage them to apply. Also a quick shout out that the Startup Ada Bootcamp is currently going on, and we are opening up each of the sessions for the public. So we have an upcoming session on marketing and branding next Tuesday, and then one on finance the Tuesday after. So again, if you know of any entrepreneur who might benefit from it, please let us know. But with that, we are 2 minutes early and we are done. We are not sure about next November. Global Entrepreneurship Week is the week after the big pitch. So what we might do is switch from the second Wednesday to do it on the third, just so Ada can be a part of the Global Entrepreneurship Week. But with that, thank you all so much for coming. Great to see new faces, and we hope to see you again next month.
Thanks, Dia.
Thank you. Trevor, I saw your text. I should probably Facebook Live. Trevor, you still there?